Jesus freak here. Now, this came up while I was making some comments on someone else's YouTube video. Someone who I actually sometimes agree with and sometimes don't. And well, it wasn't him I was responding to, it was someone else who was on the same side. Now, the topic came up of shocking things that Francis was saying. I don't like to say, Pope, Bishop of Rome for the Church of Rome. And apparently, now, I haven't seen evidence to know whether this is taking him out of context or whether he actually said this, but apparently he's promoting that believers shouldn't, try to do conversion. Try to, like, that we're, all roads lead to Rome, so to speak, when it comes to God. And not only does that throw the whole Great Commission out the window, but it throws out other important passages, such as, John 14:6. But, recognizing the Bishop of Rome as having any degree of authority in the church, that itself runs into issues with Matthew 23:9, especially if you understand where the word pope comes from. Yeah, it comes from a word, I believe, late Greek that means father. So, yeah. Anyway, I started mentioning that there were a lot of people who were not part of the Church of Rome, but who would occasionally say, well, Pope Francis says good things. I'm like, yeah, he's a stopped clock. You know the saying, a stopped clock is right twice a day. He's a stopped clock. Sometimes he'll say something that just happens to be right. And it, for example, this is why I actually use the word church referring to the Church of Rome, where I won't use it for Unitarian Universalists because they're not Christians. And I won't use it of Scientologists because they're not Christians. Because etymologically, the word church comes from a word that means of the Lord, belonging to the Lord. And if you've thrown him out the window, well, what is that? It's not a church, it's a social club at best. And I've said this before. I've said that we need, as Christians, to understand that the 66 book Bible, not their defacement, but the standard 66 book Bible is the first line and final arbiter. And since they have all this junk they load on top of it, you know, this is a cult. A cult any group that's going to place anything at all on an equal keel or even above the authority of Holy Writ is a cult. Is the lies of lying liars and the chief liar of all liars. And at best, they're a stopped clock. But that's what I say. You can't accept the authority of the Bishop of Rome. Anyway, another thing they say, and I don't know if they've pushed this so much recently as they have in the past, but as far as I've understood, officially they'll say that any Bible which is not produced by them, if it's translated by Protestants, if Protestants are involved in the production, if it doesn't have their extra books, if it's not signed off by the Church of Rome, if it doesn't have marginalia that they approve of, saying, this is how it's supposed to be interpreted, then it's toxic. Gee, I wonder why. I wonder why they teach that a real Bible, and yes, even a King James Bible, is toxic to their parishioners. It's toxic to lies, and it's toxic to liars. It's toxic to the lies of lying liars. But there is always only one truth. And the fact of the matter is, we need to confront lies with truth. And yes, we need to do everything we can to poach parishioners out of the Church of Rome, poach them out of churches that place any sort of emphasis on what the leader of the Church of Rome has to say. We need to poach people who've been taught lies mixed in with the truth out of their churches and teach them the real truth. That's what we're here for. Jesus freak out.